Exercise 18, SolidWorks surfacing. First of all, before I get started on showing you how to create this spoon, I just wanted to introduce you to the latest Radeon graphics card, the Radeon Pro WX3100. Actually, AMD contacted me and asked if I would go ahead and give it a try, and they didn't ask me to review it or anything like that, but they just wanted to see if I could use it. And actually it's quite impressive. So I'm going to go ahead and record this entire, and I'm recording this video using Relive down here, and it's very easy to use. I'm used to using TechSmith's product, which Camtasia, which is actually, it was a good product, but this actually seems to be very easy to use, to set up. It's just, it's pretty impressive. So we'll see. We're going to continue on with this video, and thank you, AMD, for letting me test your card. Okay, so anyhow, this exercise, we're going to take a look at how to create this spoon using surfacing techniques. Now, the spoon is a very good part for this because it's free form. Also, remember the technique I'm going to show you where we actually bring in these pixelated images and trace around them to create the spoon. You're lucky if you get plus or minus 30 thousandths accuracy. So this is not something that you would want to necessarily do for reverse engineering a very high precision part. But for a spoon, it works great, or pretty well. So to get started, I'm going to start a new part file. Hit OK. And I'm going to go ahead and we will insert. I'm going to go over here to, first of all, the front plane and start a sketch. Now I want to insert a sketch picture. Now sketch picture, I have the icon right up here in the sketch tools, but just so you know, if you need to activate this, or you're not going to normally get that icon, you usually have to go to the pull down menus up here to access it. So this is what you could do. You could right click on this gray area up here, go to customize, and just go to commands, and from here find sketch, and there it is. There's a sketch picture, and you'll notice there's a lot of icons that you don't typically see up on the screen. This is so you could optimize your screen. In this case, this is something that I might use quite often. I just grab it with my mouse button depressed and drag it and release it up there. And the same goes with things that you might not want. For example, let's say I didn't want repair a sketch. I could just drag that into this window and remove it. Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and just cancel out of that. And now that we have this here, I'm going to just go to Sketch Picture. And I already have my two images, which you could download on the vertanu1.com webpage. And just so you can see that here, just go to www.vertanu1.com/instructional-manuals, or just go to the home page and click on instructional manuals, and that will bring you right there, and you could grab whatever course you're looking to take. And this is actually in the advanced SolidWorks. Okay, so moving along there, these images are in there too under part files. So I'm going to grab the front, and you could easily take a photograph too of the front of your spoon and the right side and do exactly what I'm about to do. I'm going to open this image up. You'll see it will drop in. I could scale it or do whatever I need. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and just cancel out of this, hit the green check mark, and draw a center line at the origin about 6 inches. And now I'm going to go to Smart Dimension and just dimension it at 6 inches. That's the size I want to get my spoon to, at least some of it, minus this tangent edge that you see right there. That's actually going to be in the center. So just double click on the image, and you could grab the corners and things and relocate this. And I'm going to grab the little square and drag it down and get it down to a reasonable size, very similar to the 6-inch line that we just drew, and try and get it centered. The origin should be centered on this horizontal tangent edge that you see here on the image, as best as you can get it. You're eyeballing it. And then over here, you could leave this, get it pretty close, maybe a little bit higher. Okay, and I'm going to leave a little gap up there. You notice I leave a little gap between the 6 inches because I'm going to extend this out a little bit further. Actually, let's get a little closer, because I am going to have to trim that. There's going to be a sharp point at the end. We have to trim it off later. Okay, and again, just double check, make sure it looks pretty well centered there, and we're good to go. So hit the green check mark and hit rebuild up here, or Control B. Okay, now click on the right plane and start a sketch. Go to Sketch Picture, select the right side, and hit Open. And if you rotate this, now we're looking at it from the right, you could go up here to the View Orientation box and go to the right view orientation, and we'll downsize that to around what looks like 6 inches. And zoom up to it. You can see there's my center line. We're looking at it from the side. And here on this image, you'll see a very slight little line that goes across. That's the tangent edge again. Get that aligned where it's in the center of this edge of the spoon, just like this, and aligned to that. And now here, we're looking pretty good there, I think. So actually, let's move it out to the outer edge. Like that. Okay. And you'll notice it's stepped away from the line. Over here on the angles, we are actually able to put in 0.5. Hit enter and it will step it in a little bit. Let's drag that up a little bit farther. That's pretty good right there. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just get it pretty close. This is a spoon. Remember, it'll be plus or minus around 30 thousandths of an inch. Okay, we'll hit the green check mark and rebuild. Now we have both images in our planes. So we're going to start with a new sketch on the front plane, and we'll go to front, and we're going to proceed to draw the outer edge of the spoon. So start with the center line, and at the origin drag it to the edge of the spoon on 1/2. We're just going to create 1/2 here, and then use the spline tool. Now you also have the style spline, which some people really like. Either one you could use for this. I'm going to just use the standard spline. And just click here. When you get to the corners where there's a big bend, just remember you're going to have to probably add more points. But I'm a believer in less is more. Like here, I'm going to snap that to that end and hit escape. And now we have just double check it. Looks pretty smooth. Like if this case where it's veering off, just grab the point and drag it in a little bit. And looks pretty good there. Okay, hit rebuild. Now let's go to the right plane and start a sketch. And we'll just go up here to the right view orientation. I could also hit my space bar to do that, by the way, to reorient it. Okay, now here we'll do the same thing. Take a center line and zoom up to that little red dot. When you get the orange dot, click and drag this across. Now what's really wonderful about this is I am obviously in 4K resolution here, and this is recording it in a high resolution format as I'm doing this with this new graphics card, and it's just really stable. It's working great. I wouldn't have expected anything less, quite honestly, but what's phenomenal is that they didn't charge anything extra for this software to record this for the screen capture, which is just very, very nice. So I'm going to go ahead and extend that up. And again, make sure that this looks pretty smooth. Oh shoot, didn't want to do that. Don't hit the undo button. Make sure you get the point, not the whole spline when you do that. Okay, I want to add another spline point. I'm just going to right click and you'll find insert spline point. And then you could just click on the spline where you want the point, hit escape, and now we have more control there. Okay, and that's looking good. Hit rebuild. Now we're going to converge those two combining them into one three-dimensional guide curve. So we're going to go to Insert, Curve, Projected. Select the two curves and hit Apply. And now you'll see a three-dimensional guide curve. And this is nothing new. We've done this in exercise 7 in the basics manual. It's just using this for a different application. All right, now we're going to go ahead and draw the center of the spoon, which has the little dip in it. So let's go to the right plane, start a sketch, and right view orientation. And now I'm going to go ahead and find the spline tool once again. And this one, since I positioned this perfectly on this edge, I'm going to lock it into the origin and follow the top edge of this spoon. And the reason why is because the actual spoon surface is convex on this side. And then it dips down, and then it goes to a concave form. We'll just get that right up there, have them all converge and escape. And notice here I'm just trying to offset what the thickness of the spoon would be gently, and we're off a little bit up there, but that's okay. Go ahead and hit Rebuild. Okay, now what we want to do is create a spline at the end. Don't use an arc for this next thing. I've tried substituting an arc, and an arc can't go from convex to concave. So just be aware of that, whereas a spline can. So what we're going to do is on the top plane, start a sketch, and take the center line tool, and right at the origin down below here, follow the y-axis, and when you get that little yellow square, click. That means you're horizontal. Hit Escape. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and take the spline tool once again. And you're going to get it close to the end of that blue curve, snap it to the origin, and then this one, just have a fall off away from the spoon and click. Remember, we're only building one half here, and if we assign a relationship, a couple of relationships, which are mathematical in nature, behind the scenes, we don't see the math here, but we witness it and how it works. So what we're going to do is we're going to assign a relationship. Hit Escape a couple times, hold Control, select the two endpoints of that spline, and then select the center line, holding Control. And you'll find Add Relation Symmetric. Make those two symmetric. Hit the green check. Now click on this endpoint that's closest to the blue curve, and find that blue curve and click on the curve as a whole, not on the endpoint of the curve. And we're going to get another relationship, Pierce. The combination of those two relationships will enable this surface to be created, matching it on both sides, even though we don't have a guide curve on this right side. Okay, so let's put it in action. Now that we have the geometry, we could go ahead and hit Rebuild, and if we want, we could hide those two sketches. Just click on them and go to Hide, and this is all we have. So now we're going to bring up the Surfaces tools. If you don't see the Surfaces toolbar, you have to right-click on any of these tabs, check the Surfaces box, and it should appear. This is going to be a swept surface. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to select the sketch profile. The path right here is in the center. And finally, the guide curve is on the outer edge. And look at that. Now it's a little sharp on the end, but the reason I extended it farther away was that so we could round it by cutting the surface later on. Okay, and there is our surface of the spoon. Okay, not looking too bad. If you want to lighten the screen a little bit, you could click on this little arrow and go with plain white. Might be a little easier to see. Okay, now we're going to thicken this later on. We're not going to thicken it quite yet, but we want to create the end tip of the spoon. So what I would recommend is go ahead and turn back on sketch 2, which was the right view, or show it, I should say. Now select the right plane and start a sketch. And you're going to go ahead, and again, the tip is rounded a little bit, so we're going to eyeball a point. Select the point tool, and right about there, it looks like the spoon kind of bends down. And if we were to find the theoretical sharp corner, it would be maybe around there. I'm probably off a little bit, but that's okay. Hit rebuild, and now we could actually use a surface loft and select this surface here, and then select the point. Now you're going to get a sharp transitional point. We could also bring back the top or front image, and you see we need to follow that contour a little bit closer. Over here on the left, under the start end constraint, you have the start constraint. We will go with there's tangency or curvature to face. Curvature is what they call, sometimes some people refer to super smooth or G2, or in this case C2, curvature continuity. Tangency is pretty decent. If we go with tangency, you'll see, let's see, we'll actually go to the front view, and we're pretty close there, but see this little arrow? Gently grab it and drag it just a little bit and release it. Just a little bit. Small little movements. And look at that, we're pretty close to following that curve. Remember, we're going to cut this off on the end, so go ahead and hit apply. Now we're going to go ahead and hide those two. And look at our spoon. Okay, looking pretty good. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and knit these together. Go to knit and to form one surface. Okay, now we have to trim off those sharp edges. So for this, go to the front view orientation, start a sketch, and I would recommend using the just the, let's see, an arc tool. We want the, I would go with 3-point arc. Start with 3-point arc, and we do want them to be tangent eventually, but click here and get directly aligned there, and put the little bow in just like that. And then over here we'll do the same. Again, I'm just kind of eyeballing it. Remember, I could bring back the image if I wanted to get it really close. Hit escape, and now we could actually select this and control select that and make that tangent, and do the same over here. Select this, hold control select that, and tangent. Let's go back up there and get those tangent too. Select this, hold control select that, tangent, select this, hold control and select that, tangent. And now take the line tool, because we want one continuous profile that follows through to the bottom and connects. This way we don't have to trim twice. We're connecting them, we'll be able to trim one time. And so if we go to the surfaces, we could go to trim surface, and it's taking our trim tool as our sketch. And now what we do, we select keep sections, and we select right in the middle, hit the green check, and it should chop away the geometry on the outside. Look at that. It comes out pretty decent. Not perfect, but now when we rotate it, you get a little bit of a bevel there, but that's all right. If we were to actually have extended out further, we could probably make it perfect, but close enough. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to thicken this. So if we select the geometry, actually select the entire surface knit, and now go to, there's actually the thicken right up here, and set the thicken parameter. Let's see, it's going to make us select it. Okay, and you could, depending upon the geometry, because we didn't really put any dimensions in it on it, yours might be a little rough. It may not be able to support a thickening process, but only make it 0.03. And I'm going to flip it to the back side or the underside here. And you know it's working usually if you see the yellow. Let's see, we'll make it in the middle. See if, no, not the middle. We can make it the top there. Actually, the top doesn't, I think it looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. And now we could go ahead and put fillets around it. Now you could also smooth this geometry out by actually going back and editing those spline points, removing some as well as aligning them better. And there's curvature combs and a lot of other tools that can help you analyze the geometry to make it smoother. But I'm going to go ahead and go to fillet and set this to a very small radius, like 0.01, and just select these edges here and the edges on the bottom. Make sure that they transition and carry all the way around. You might have to set them a little smaller if you have any issues, and hit apply. And that gives us our spoon and completes this exercise.